So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, I promise. 100% no spoilers whatsoever. So yeah, this is going to be a short review. Spider-Man: No Way Home is brought to us by director John Watts and stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, Benedict Cumberbatch, and some other people. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, Peter asks Doctor Strange for some help. When a spell goes wrong, dangerous foes from another world start to appear, forcing Peter to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Okay, so this is probably a lot of people's most anticipated movie of 2021. And because of that, I of course do not want to spoil it for anyone, and I am not going to. But seeing as how I can't talk about spoilers, and there's a lot of spoilers in this movie, that means I'm gonna be pretty vague in this review. I'm gonna tell you how I felt about it. We're gonna talk about our feelings a whole lot. Not specifics, just more of my feelings. However, if you have seen it or you just don't give a damn about spoilers, I will have a spoiler review coming up 2 days from when this video goes live. And if it has already been 2 days, then you will be able to find that video right here. If not, well, then I just pointed at absolutely nothing. So the big question is, I guess, was it worth the wait? Is this movie as good as everybody was hoping? Well, I can only speak for myself, and I was pretty excited about the movie. Maybe not quite as hyped as some people are, but I was really excited about it, and the movie met my expectations. This is a really fun movie. In fact, this is the best Marvel movie I've seen in quite a long time. Whether or not Sony's involvement in the making of this film had anything to do with that or not, I don't know, but all I do know is that this seems different from the crop of Marvel movies we're getting now. Now, it doesn't necessarily seem like old MCU movies either. In fact, this movie seems a bit different from any of the other MCU movies that have come so far. Now, it is characters from the MCU, and it's got a lot of MCU stuff in it, but it just seems a bit different from other MCU movies, and that's a good thing. Now, one of the big things I was worried about this movie is how it would handle its villains. It's no secret that there are quite a few villains in this movie. They're in the trailer. I'm not going to talk about anything that's not in the trailer, by the way. We've got a plethora of villains here, and typically in superhero movies, especially Spider-Man movies, when we stuff in too many villains, the movies kind of go astray. But I'm happy to report that this one doesn't do that. They did a fantastic job of balancing their villains in this movie. And not just the villains, but all the characters. Characters like MJ and Ned, they actually have something of substance to do this time around. There weren't really that many characters that showed up that were just kind of throwaway. Everybody had a purpose. And while on the surface that might seem like it wouldn't be that hard to do, it is. There are plenty of movies, especially MCU movies, where just useless characters show up. But not here. I was really pleased to see that a lot of these characters get a lot more screen time and have a lot more purpose, and I really like these characters a lot more as a result of that. For me, the MCU's MJ has never really been anything special. I mean, I didn't have anything against her, but she was just really underused. She wasn't very central to the plot. Sure, she was more prevalent in Far From Home than the first movie, but still, even then, she wasn't really that important to the plot. This time around, she has much more of a presence, and I really enjoyed Zendaya in the role. Ned, too. He's had more of a presence than MJ has for sure, but really, he's been kind of throwaway for the most part as well. In this movie, he actually has a purpose, and he's in it quite a bit, and I really enjoyed his character and the performance too. Now, when it comes to those villains that are handled well, I don't really want to say too much. That's getting into real touchy territory. What I will say is that I was really happy with all the villains that showed up here. Of the ones that we get, Sandman and the Lizard are pretty underused. They're in the movie a decent amount, but beyond action scenes, they just really don't have a lot to do here. They were, however, still handled well. Even though they didn't have as much to do as the other villains did, their presence did actually add something to the plot overall. Tom Holland as Peter Parker / Spider-Man is really good here as well. In fact, this is the best portrayal of Spider-Man he's had so far. This is the most Spider-Man we've gotten in the MCU so far. The movie doesn't rely as much on some other Avenger this time around as some of his other films have. This is much more Spider-Man's movie. Sure, it takes place in the greater MCU, but it feels as if it is much more contained. It's a big story for sure, but it still feels like a Spider-Man story. And that's something I didn't really get from the previous two movies. There were hints of it here or there, but it was always like, this is a Spider-Man story in the Avengers universe. And that was fine and all, but I really do like this approach more. This is more like a Spider-Man movie, and yeah, the Avengers are there too, but this is a Spider-Man movie. Overall, I did really enjoy the story of this movie. Now, unfortunately, like many people out there, I just couldn't get away from all the hypothesis and leaks and this and that. What is in the movie, what's not in the movie, and I'm not gonna spoil any of that here, but I will say, because there's been such a flood of stuff that could or could not be real throughout the year or so that this movie's been being worked on, there weren't really many surprises in the movie. I mean, as far as like things I hadn't heard. Now granted, if you go off of that, we've heard that everybody in any cinematic universe ever is going to be in this movie. But still, nothing was really surprising. Now, the way that it's done is very well, and it was still very exciting. And when these moments happened in the movie, they were very rousing. I had a great time. In fact, my theater cheered out, like as a whole, at least 4 or 5 times in this movie. It was a very crowd-pleasing movie, but like I said, just not very surprising if you've heard really anything about this movie at all. And by the way, that's not me saying that all the rumors you've heard are true. That is me saying that at some point in time, the things that are in this movie, you've probably already heard them because people have just been like throwing everything out there on the internet all this time. So I'll clear that up, not spoiling anything. I think it goes without saying that the movie looks great. I mean, it's a Marvel movie and it probably costs north of $200 million. So yeah, you see all that money on screen. The effects, the camera work, the costumes, just everything. Everything here looks great. Even if you hate the story of this movie, you can't deny that it looks great. I don't really know what else I could say about the look of this film. It just looks great. Shock. And we do get a couple of emotional moments in the movie, and there were a couple of people in the audience I heard maybe getting a bit teary-eyed at 1 or 2 points in the movie. Me, honestly, though, while these moments were emotional and I did like how they played out and the performances were all very good during these moments, I can't say that it ever like brought me to tears or anything. That's not me acting like some kind of badass either. That's just me saying that they didn't feel that emotional. Yes, they were emotional. I thought they were well done, but it wasn't like that hardcore. There is one scene though that is closer to the end of the movie that I kinda was thinking something like this might happen, especially as the movie went on. And when it did, I gotta say, that was probably the most emotional scene for me personally and a lot of people in the audience. And while yeah, sure, it was set up that way, it wasn't the one, especially considering another scene in the movie, that I thought would be the most emotional. It's a fairly quick moment and it does involve redemption, and I thought it was really well done. And that phrase, really well done, is what this movie is. Pretty much everything here is really well done, and some of it's even great. Guys, I really liked Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I know this review was really vague, and I did have to watch what I said, but that's because I don't want to spoil this for you. This movie is very spoiler-centric. There's all kinds of stuff in it that you're just not supposed to know, and it could dull the experience if you go in knowing for sure that some of these things are in the movie. It's got some great performances all around, a smart, entertaining story that has a great pace. It looks fantastic from beginning to end, and it is just overall a very crowd-pleasing movie. This is, without a doubt, the best MCU movie I've seen at least since Endgame, if not beyond that. And it is absolutely worth a buy.
Do it! Do it!
Show me the money!
Do it!
You my motherfucker!
So,
Show me the money!
do it!
This is one of the most crowd-pleasing movies I've seen in a long time. And if you're an MCU fan or just a fan of Spider-Man and good, entertaining movies, then check out Spider-Man No Way Home one night. I think you're gonna have a really good time. So there it is, guys, my review of Spider-Man No Way Home. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below. Become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys. And possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg C. and Dragon Khan. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Phoenix.
What's happening?
They're starting to come through, and I can't stop them.
This is quite possibly one of the most frustrating reviews I've ever done in my life because there are so many fucking spoilers in this movie and I just couldn't talk about them. I refuse to spoil this movie for anybody. I'm gonna have to go over this thing with like a fine-tooth comb in the editing process to make sure that I don't like accidentally allude to something that someone could take something away from. And I ain't trying to be the guy on the internet that ruins Spider-Man for somebody. Unless you want to ruin, then check out my spoiler review.